Hello again. This is part 2 of doing a commentary on Mrs. Portland and I. Tonight I speak my truth. And we are getting to the important part here. The other part was just, well, there were some things exposed, but now we're getting down into the heavy. Okay, I'm going to raise the volume there. Okay, let's go. Oop, I have to reload. I'm going to hope it's in the appropriate place. There may be an issue with that. Whoa!
I realized that this wasn't the YouTube against Mrs. P. This was Mrs. P. This was all her.
I'm going to go back a little bit.
She knows I'm going to come with receipts. And she knows I'm going to tell all of it. Because I'm not going to. I've worked too hard on myself, you guys, to let somebody try and bring it all crashing down around me because they're lying. It's just not, that's not going to happen.
What happens? Does everything come crashing down around you if you are lying?
Not going to happen at all. So,
I may have covered this already.
So she lost her crap with me about it. I said, you know, look, I'm sorry. You know, I
sounds like she's going to make something up, doesn't it?
Wasn't trying to hurt you. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to look out for you, you know. And
yeah, she was trying to look out for her because we heard that specifically in the first video, correct? Yeah, things are going to get a little funky here.
She kept saying, well, Natasha does this, so why can't I? And I was like, again, now keep in mind, I only knew what I'd seen for the couple days that I was in there. I wasn't part of a community. I'd gone in there because, honestly,
the couple of days that she was in there, plus the 2 months she watched from bed. Remember that. Care D contacted her in December. This is what she has said herself. I'm not guessing or, you know, fabricating.
And I've told Natasha this. I went in there because I was going to rip on these people who were being mean to poor Mrs. Portland.
You say poor Mrs. Portland, and yet how many hundreds of times have you said she, you know, having her disability is not an excuse. Yeah. So suddenly right here you sound like you're being so defensive of her. You know, you're very, very disingenuous.
Okay. Now.
No, it's not okay to be disingenuous. It's not okay to be a hypocrite. And it's not okay to lie. Okay.
So she gets all butthurt at me.
And you see, you know, how dare she get butthurt at her for presuming to tell her what to do, to take authority over her. You know, a woman who's had enough of that all of her life. And so here comes Noodle Mash, who left on, you know, they parted on poor terms. Okay.
And she tries to dox me. And she released my name and where she thought I lived.
I may have covered this, I think so, in the last one, but she sure lies with great ease. Very, very easily. That's problematic.
Now, my name I wasn't worried about because I'm an artist. You guys know.
Oh, yeah, this was covered. You're not an artist. You're a woman who's never worked and just sort of lounges around and complains.
My name is on my artist cards for my clay. Okay. I don't care that anybody knows my name, and I don't care that they know that I live in Lincoln City, Oregon. I don't really care about that. What bothered me, though, was when she actually thought that I lived where we used to live and tried to release that information.
How effortlessly she lies.
Because you have to look at, even if everybody already knew that information, which they don't, but even if they did, you have to look at the intent. Why would you do that? Why would somebody want to do that?
She's not on the same level as the rest of us. So she doesn't want to do anything. It's a knee-jerk reaction with her, okay? What's your excuse, by the way, Shannon?
So I started looking at past videos. In fact, Peekaboo. You can ask my husband about this, because Peekaboo is where I learned the truth.
Oh, really? Because it fit what you wanted it to be? Is that, really? Just like you tell the truth? You don't? Okay.
And I watched, I think it was a 24-part series at the time. I think it was 24 parts at the time. I sat in it 2 days. I watched every single video.
That's because you don't work. You have all the time in the world in bed to watch, right?
With my husband.
It also shows that, you really did a deep dive. Stalked her. You stalked Mrs. Portland. You just said it.
And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God. The horror. How offended you are. You scream about your virtue when you have next to none.
And then after my husband started talking to me again, after I made him watch the lingerie video.
Oh, little abuse right there, right? Made him watch the lingerie video. See how abusive she is? Ha 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 ha. Little joke.
Then I realized that this wasn't the YouTube against Mrs. P. This was Mrs. P. This was all her.
Now don't forget, this is before she came here, okay? Before Shannon came here.
This was, the Hey Natasha and Who's Hot Now Natasha, and, it was blue. It was 2 very long days. Obviously it wasn't straight through, but you know what I mean. I mostly do it at night.
No, you had to eat, right? Takes time to blend up all that food.
I, sit and watch them. But I still continued to try to help her, because I knew I wanted everybody to see the person.
It was mostly at night where you would sit and watch them. I thought you were in bed for 2 months. So now you're up and sitting or sitting in bed. So you could only do it at night, because during the day while you were in bed, what were you doing then? Just wondering.
Who I knew all those years ago. Okay. I wanted everybody to see that she wasn't all that. That she was, that she was funny, and she's not dumb. She's very smart. And I wanted people to see all that. So my dumbass continued, as you guys all saw.
I'm not going to object to that.
All you have to do is go look at the first month of my videos, and you'll see where I tried. And I tried.
Well, I saw the first 45 seconds just how your attitude was. You didn't say it friendly. You didn't say, I'm going to try to help Mrs. Portland. No, you were going to talk about her to gain followers and donations. Come on. It's all right there. This is a lie, what you're saying now.
I have people attacking me for trying.
Yeah, I think she's referring to me. But it's a lie. So, and I won't tell you why.
Okay.
Not okay.
Yeah, we figured that she was going to go on a rampage, because she went on a rampage the second I announced that at noon that I was going to be going live tonight.
And sure, you knew she would. So then here you are provoking, instigating, right?
Okay, and I want to reiterate.
It's going to get good.
Because I want to speak on the person that I am.
She wants to tell us who she is. Because, all of that virtue. Here we go.
Not up here doing this to hurt her.
Oh, the disclaimer. I'm not up here to hurt her. But I'm going to tell you many, many personal, private things about her. Because I know them. And because they bring me great interest. Because Mrs. Portland has caused trouble here in the community. And, through that I can also play victim to Mrs. Portland and get money. And yeah. Okay, so, but here, first the disclaimer, okay? First I'm going to tell you I'm a very fine person. This is the sneaky manipulation.
Or make anybody not like her. This is not my intent. And you know it, Mrs. Portland.
No, she doesn't know it. You know why? Because I don't even know it.
But you knew. That's why you've been panicking all day. You knew when you got up on that panel with Robbie today and live, you knew I wasn't going to let that happen.
That's very intrusive to say she was panicking all day. Very rude. Very invasive.
Because I am the one person in your life who's always held you accountable.
Now, how would she know how many people have held Mrs. Portland accountable? In fact, she has no idea whatsoever. But what she's doing is taking a stance of being over her. That is incredibly intrusive, invasive. It is deplorable. And she knows very well how Mrs. Portland reacts to that. She knows extremely well. Okay? And so she does it anyway, and she says it anyway, and yeah, hold her accountable. First of all, who are you to hold anybody accountable? You're not accountable for anything in life. Nothing. Nothing. You're a sloth. A human version of a sloth, okay? Not calling you a name. I'm describing your lifestyle. And to hold her accountable, whether she's held accountable or not, is none of your business. Period. Who do you think you are?
And that's what I'm doing now.
Oh, we know. That's what you're doing now. Okay, here comes the good part.
I'm not encouraging anybody to hate on you.
Oh, more disclaimers. Okay? I'm not encouraging anybody to hate on her, but I will be going to the hate channels and leaving comments, to keep my popularity going. Yeah, because everybody must know that I am the keeper of Mrs. Portland. I'm the keeper of her secrets, of her privacy. Yeah. Oh.
Or being mean to you. I am defending myself against the lies that you told.
Yeah, because people can't tell lies. Except you.
Okay?
Not okay.
I know you're watching.
See that? See that? You see that? Very instigating. I know you're watching. It's threatening, It's saying, come at me, so I can have more content and I can get more donations. Very, very conniving.
And I know you're angry.
Oh, very belittling.
But so am I.
Oh, I'm more important than you.
You had no right to get up there and lie like that. And your own, I mean, I'm sitting right here saying your own community sees it. First, I wasn't anywhere near you. That Natasha, the evil Natasha helped me hunt you down. Are you kidding me?
This is while, obviously, she was still grifting off of Natasha's subs, trying to get them all to run on over to her.
Oh, and by the way, it wasn't Natasha who sent me the message on Facebook. I'm not going to say who it was, but it was not Natasha. That's the God honest truth. So, moving on, I continued to try and help her. And I realized that I wasn't getting anywhere.
No, she didn't continue to try and help her because she never started to try and help her. She started to talk about her, expose her, delve into her personal life and throw it out there for everyone else, and to decide what Mrs. Portland is or is not allowed to do.
So I stopped, but I still would give encouraging messages to her. Because
oh, so encouraging, sweetheart. Yeah, you can't do that. It's against the terms of service. Isn't that YouTube's job? Who are you? What is your authority in life? You're too big for your britches.
Because she doesn't have to accept my help. Nobody has to accept anybody's help.
Gee, really? Oh, thanks for telling us that.
Right? That's their prerogative. They don't have to do that. So.
She's so wise.
So. It's one thing, though, to not take someone's help. It's quite another just to be mean.
Oh, because you're never mean. What did you do to Debbie last night? What did you do? You're not mean? How many times have you told me I'm unintelligent? Make fun of my husband? Or our relationship? No, you're not mean. You're a sweetheart.
And then that's what happened, is you started being mean to me, Mrs. Portland, and you know this. The video, this part, nobody needs to believe my words.
Oh, good. Because we don't. Anybody with half a brain knows not to believe you.
The videos are there. Yours aren't, because you got rid of them, but all mine are there. I've not deleted a one, ever.
That didn't age well?
Okay. So here, I still kept, trying to encourage you, even though you didn't want my help, and that was fine, but I didn't want you to think that I had just abandoned you.
Because not having Shannon in your life is just a sorrow too great to bear. Yeah. Mrs. Portland really needs Shannon.
Because I figured you probably had trust issues, understandably so.
Again, condescending, understandably so. You don't talk to people like that. You don't talk especially to someone who has disabilities of her type like that. All you're doing is poking, picking, nitpicking.
Even when you doxed me, or tried to.
You're not very clever.
Even when you got on and told everybody that I buy my stuff already made on the internet and sell it as my own, and use the words, so don't do any business or buy from Noodle Mash.
Yeah, because, the entire community watches her, and she has great influence on everyone here. Please.
I still continued.
Oh yeah, you're the bastion of goodness. Mother Teresa.
You know when it stopped?
Okay. I had gone too far back because I had to reload the video and I hadn't looked at the timestamp. Here is where the good part comes. Okay? She just said, you know when I stopped? Meaning stopped being nice. This gets really interesting.
I sent you in January, I sent you an email, a private email, and I said, okay, you guys bear with me, this is hard.
Notice a quick change, an absolute razor's edge, quick change of comportment, of emotion, okay? Okay? She's faking, okay? She's going to act very dramatic now and like a victim and poor me, and I've had to bear all the pain in the world, and please donate. We're bearing with her.
I said, Kelly, you knew Roseanne, and I thought you should know that Roseanne has unexpectedly passed away.
Okay. This is in January, okay? This is important because she said she was doing nice things for her until this time, dealing with the email, okay? However, this was before Noodle Mash started her channel. Do you get that? About a month. Almost a month. It's before she premiered this channel with her first video, which was February 17th. Isn't that interesting? So she was nice to Mrs. Portland until then. Little bit of a timeline strangeness, correct? Very much so. So she's crying now, and she lost her friend. Now, there are two friends that have been lost, so it's a little tough to know which one she's speaking of. One had a fake Indian name, and I don't know if that's her. But I do know that the one with the fake name who took her header off a cliff, she didn't like Mrs. Portland at all and had nothing to do with her. This one named Roseanne, I don't know if that's the same woman using her real name. I think it's a different woman. But we don't know what kind of relationship she would have had with Mrs. Portland. Okay? But we can assume that they didn't continue their relationship. Okay? Not if it's Noodle's best friend anyway. Okay? So remember now, she has just flipped time completely on its head.
Because my best friend, Roseanne, and her husband also lived in the same apartment complex.
As did the other woman. Yeah, again, I don't know which one Roseanne is, because she's not using, if she's the one with the fake Indian name. Or Roseanne could have been the one who fell and had complications and passed.
That we all lived in. And like I said, I've known her since I was 17 years old. Hold on one sec.
Oh, make sure you donate right now in this pause, this pregnant pause. Boo-hoo.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is...
This would be sad, except she's going to be telling some strange things now, okay?
Super hard because it's still super raw.
And I'm sure it is. But do you have to cry on demand and flip from one split second to another, from being aggressive to then crying? It's fake. Or it's an act. a deliberate act. Well, make sure
you were very nice in your email back to me. You said...
Okay, so in January, she emailed Mrs. Portland, and Mrs. Portland emailed back.
I'm so sorry. How is your husband, Bobby? And you said, you can call me if you want. Well, I didn't want to call you because I didn't want that kind of a relationship with you.
You hear that? Well, I didn't want to call you because I didn't want that kind of relationship with you. Okay? Before this time, all right, they have had interactions, or maybe interactions on Facebook, okay? But not in this community at all. She hadn't come on here yet, Noodle, and presumed to tell Mrs. Portland what to do, what she can and cannot do, all right? But she's going to call her and tell her about her best friend, her very best friend, Roseanne. Now, Mrs. Portland and Noodle parted on bad terms. She said that twice. Okay, we went through that in the first part. They parted poorly, and she decides she's going to tell her about Roseanne. Why is that? Well, and don't forget, she's also been watching Mrs. Portland for 2 months from bed, okay? And she's watching Mrs. Portland, and she's angry with her, okay? She figures she's, people are picking on Mrs. Portland, but then she's seen that it's, a problem. Mrs. Portland is a problem. So she's planning her entry into the mess, try to rile her up and make it all worse, okay? Because she knows how she'll react. And she's watched it for 2 months, okay, in case her memory lapsed a little bit. But even though they parted on bad terms, she's going to call Mrs. Portland, of all people, and tell her that her very best friend passed away. And in the same breath, she switches her tone to us and says, I didn't want that kind of relationship with her. But then why would you call her and tell her about Roseanne's passing? I think, this is just a supposition, because it is extremely odd. Would you not agree? She did it so that she could have a previous contact with her. In fact, a contact where she could then claim, which she has many times, that they were getting along just fine, okay? And so they were friends, so it was okay for her to tell her what to do because they were on good terms. But they weren't, okay? That's why she called her. She wanted to suss her out a little bit and get her feet wet a little bit. Noodle. And yeah, it is extremely strange to call someone you are not close to and do not want a relationship with about the passing of your very best friend. When you were planning, because she was planning on coming here and poking, prodding, instigating, provoking, everything bad to Mrs. Portland. Okay, there's a little bit more, and then I'll say something else.
Because of everything that happened, but I thought you should know.
Why should she know? Why should she know? Do you call her and tell her anytime anybody in a complex dies? Is that what you do? Really? But you don't want a relationship with her. Not that kind of relationship. Just the kind where you abuse her. Right? Sneakily.
And then we come to a couple months ago when you publicly said that you were glad.
Now she's jumped ahead in time quite a bit.
That Roseanne had dropped dead. That way she didn't have to listen to my whining or cries for attention.
See? She knows how Mrs. Portland will react to being abused. And she told her about Roseanne. And, you know, see what happens? Yeah. And look at the victim here. You know, I'm not saying what Mrs. Portland did was correct. We all know it wasn't. And we all know why she does it. We all know she cannot control her emotions. Or her reactions. Right. And that the filter isn't really there.
And that's when I realized that no amount of encouragement, no amount of trying to be your friend, none of that was going to work. Because
I should call Lifetime Movies and send them this little acting job.
you didn't want it to work.
She didn't want it to work. I thought you didn't want that kind of relationship with her. You said that a few months before. You didn't want that kind of relationship with her. And now you're complaining that she doesn't want it to work? Excuse me? See the problem here? See the disconnect?
One second.
Oh, yeah. You blowing your nose, or did something good happen on the police scanner? Donate now.
I'm so sorry, you guys. This is just really hard.
We know.
And then she turned around a month or so later and did the same thing to Natasha about her aunt. Almost word for word the same thing.
It's very clear she did some serious clout chasing.
And that's when I started to get angry.
Really? That's when you started? But you didn't want a relationship with her before. But now you're going to tell us about some other times you were angry. So, yeah. And you were angry with her when she lived there. So that's when you started to get angry? When she did that with Natasha's aunt? Really? Virtue signaling?
And I started to be upset at everything she did.
Oh, really? Just then? You've been upset with everything she's done since, you said, 2 days after you moved into the complex. You said it yourself in this same video.
That was me. And I got upset that I was being painted as a villain.
Painted? It's more like a photograph.
When I'm not.
Sure about that? Do you believe that? Do you actually believe that? Is it possible for you to believe that? Because to me, it would be virtually impossible for you to believe that. Donate.
When you were so... I should have known. A lot of this is my fault because I should have known.
That is true. And she did know. Okay? She should have known. No, she did know. And that's why she came here. Because she knew the drama that would ensue. Shannon, from this part here, you can tell she has a large problem with where she belongs, with her place in any situation. She inserts herself. She... every word just jumped out of my brain. She invades other people's private spaces. Okay? She is too personal. And she does it so that, yeah, well, she needs to play victim. It is her life force. Okay. she doesn't have correct adult boundaries at all.
You know, thinking back, I even told my husband, what was I thinking? Because thinking back to how you were when we lived by each other. No, honey, I'm fine. Thank you, though. My husband's asking if I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you.
You came here and told us, after 45 seconds, who you were going to talk about. And no, there was no friendliness in your face, in your affect, in your voice. None. Okay? So don't act now like, oh, I was so good and then look what she did to me. You did it. You did it.
I should have known that it wasn't going to work. I should have known that you were still going to be mad at me, because now I'm going to backtrack to when I did live by you. And all the threats that you used to get, you threatened what you went and told everybody on Facebook that I had used my phone to hack into your Facebook, which was...
Okay, here's another very important part, okay? I'll try to back it up a tiny bit. Okay.
All the threats that you used to get, you threatened what you went and told everybody on Facebook.
So now she's talking about threats, okay? Of when they lived in the same complex, okay? And so she's giving away more information about Mrs. Portland. And fine, whatever. But listen to how angry she is now about something that happened, how many years ago was it? 3? 5 years ago, okay? Listen to how angry she still is, okay? Proving she did not come here to be Mrs. Portland's friend and help her and be kind to her.
That I had used my phone to hack into your Facebook, which was a bold-faced lie. You started saying very racist stuff on Facebook, not to me, but you were saying it like on your page.
Okay, now why is she bringing this up? She's bringing this up so people will hate Mrs. Portland. She is inciting hate right here, right now. And this happened when they lived together in the apartment complex, okay? This is many years ago. And how is Noodle Mash, how is Shannon the authority or the one to, even back then, to tell Mrs. Portland what she could or could not do? Yeah, she could have been reported or whatever, but Noodle Mash is not her boss. Okay? But she's acting like she is, even still. And this stuff happened years ago. And listen to how angry she is. Because now she's crying in anger.
And I was like, whoa, that was so bad. Okay.
Right? So she's here, and it's okay to say what Mrs. Portland had on her Facebook from those years ago to make her look, that was wrong, okay? She's inserting herself. She has no boundaries.
Okay. And then you were accusing me of stuff all the time. And it wasn't just me, it was other people. You tried. I want to say right now that I actually like Mrs. Portland's husband. He's a very nice man.
Okay, so notice her tone, her affect. It softens considerably, okay? She said this many times here on YouTube that she liked Walter, okay? But her tone changed like night and day, correct?
Yes. And we used to talk to him a lot, and he never ever once talked bad about his wife or nothing like that. But like I said, my husband smoked, her husband smoked, so they sit out there, and we really liked him.
And then the unspoken part, but we didn't really like her. Okay? See how mean that is to her?
And that made her mad.
Yeah. Yeah. It would make me mad. And I don't have her profound disabilities.
That I would talk to him and not her.
Oh, you actually did that? She's admitting doing that. Is that not disgusting? Okay?
So I had to put up with her telling everybody that I was trying to sleep with her husband.
I don't blame her. Yeah. Okay, it wasn't the right thing to do, okay? And obviously it's not true. But you could see easily why someone with her disabilities would do that when you just said, I would talk to him and not her. Who are you? How rude is that to somebody without disabilities, but to someone with profound disabilities? How dare you? How dare you? Who do you think you are?
It was stuff like this that just kept going.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it kept going because you don't let anything go. You're talking now about something that happened, 3, 5, 8 years ago? I don't know when they moved. Maybe 3, okay? Yeah. You letting it go? Do you let anything go?
And that's when I realized back then, right, that I just could not be a part of this.
Oh, so you realized, this is the 3rd time in this video that you realized, who she was, and yeah. So, story keeps changing.
So I stayed away from her.
But not
so
Walter.
One day I was having a barbecue with some friends, and it became an issue because I didn't invite, because even though this was like close family and friends, it wasn't anybody who really lived, there at the complex. She got upset that she wasn't invited. And then started the complaints to my manager.
I want to go back. I want to hear something. You're kind of stalling as you're speaking, almost as though you are making it up or changing or lying. Hold on.
And then close family and friends, it wasn't anybody like this that just kept going. And that's when I realized back then, right, that I just could not be a part of this. So
you're obsessed with her.
So I stayed away from her. So one day I was having a barbecue with some friends, and it became an issue because I didn't invite, because even though this was like close family and friends, it wasn't anybody who really lived, there at the complex.
Okay. So she's already not talking to Mrs. Portland, according to her. But Mrs. Portland is going to get angry that she's not invited to a barbecue. Does that make any logical sense to you? Why would she, if they weren't speaking, why would Mrs. Portland be upset? And she just said, this is what's important, why I backed it up. Noodle just said, they were close family and friends. It wasn't really anybody who lived in the apartments. Which means it probably was somebody who lived in the apartments. Because that's what people do. I wasn't a really bad person.
She got upset that she wasn't invited.
And she's disabled, and and wants to be a part of things. Yep.
And then started the complaints to my manager.
It's her manager. Notice that little slip of words? Not the manager, but it's her manager.
About me. Now, you know, you guys, I'm at a loss for words because
you're making up so much. I'm going to stop for now. I may go on, let's see, 37 minutes. I may go on at another time, but that part about Roseanne and calling her is extremely important. And it really speaks about her intent here. And she's telling us they were not friends. There's an awful lot of lying going on. And I wonder, what you all think. I'd be very interested to know. And now I'm going to try to turn off. Oh, I can't do it. I'm going to try to stop this.